Good morning, Angela Yee.
Good morning, DJ Envy.
Charlamagne the God.
Peace to the planet. It's Friday.
Yes, it's Friday.
We are here. We made it to the weekend. How y'all feeling out there? Everybody good? I'm blessed, black, and highly favored.
Yeah, crazy day yesterday. So let me shout out to my daughter. She finally got welcome to New York City, I guess the right way.
What do you mean?
She called me up and was like, Dad. I said, what's up? She was like, I just left the restaurant. And she was like, there was a guy on the corner. I said, let me guess. He was beating his meat. And she was like, how'd you know? So I described him. She was like, yeah, I said he's outside of every club, every nightclub, every restaurant.
That's the same guy?
The same guy.
You mean the same dude that used to be in front of the 40/40 club?
Yes.
He's still around?
He's still around beating his meat.
Nah, there's no way he should be in jail. He should be arrested. Like, how do people not report him? People know his face. People might know his hands and his penis.
He's been arrested several times. I sent my daughter pictures, and I was like, this is the guy. And I sent all the time.
You have pictures?
Yes.
You know what's crazy about that dude, man? And this has been going on for a long time, so we used to laugh at him. Clearly, he needs some type of help.
He's been up here.
What you mean he's been up here?
He has been up
to the Breakfast Club.
Yes, he's been to the Breakfast Club.
Why has he been to the Breakfast Club?
Because he manages an artist. And when the artist came up there, he was here, and I told him to y'all.
Oh yeah, he definitely got mental health issues. Then
yes,
he needs to be committed.
But he's been locked up several times. He's from the Bronx. He's been locked up in Florida.
We know his name.
I know. I got his pictures. Mugshot.
Yeah, he got to go to jail. Let me see him.
Do not say his name,
I've only seen him in the dark.
Not say his name.
I've only seen him in the dark, and he got a shiny penis. It looks like a gun. I've never seen. I don't know his face. He needs to go to jail.
I remember when Envy told us that was him up at the studio. He told both of us.
Oh my gosh, Dad, this is just disgusting. It was like he was just beating his meat, but people walking by. I'm like, yeah, that's what he does. I said
he's been doing that for decades.
I said he used to leave the club. That's the guy beating his meat. He said he be going at it.
He's got some mental. He's clearly got some mental health issues.
Yes.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what you would call that. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I just go see one. But I don't know what you call that. But something's wrong.
Then there got to be no skin on his meat the way he be going. Because he be going.
I'm not. I don't want to have this conversation anymore.
All right,
but I haven't even had my oatmeal yet. I haven't had my protein shake. Nothing. I'm on an empty stomach, and you want to talk about no skin being on the penises? Jesus Christ!
All right.
What you wrote on that paper, John?
He said world premiere of a record. I don't even know what the record is.
Sweetie?
Yes, listen, first of all, when a man talks about a person revealing their meat in the middle of the street masturbating, don't you write on a piece of paper world premiere? Okay? We don't know where this is going, Dramos. All right, guy.
I'm just trying to do my job over here, guys.
We got guests today too.
That's
right.
Alicia Garza will be joining us.
Alicia Garza. She has.
What I said, Alicia.
Alicia.
Butchered her name.
Alicia Garza.
Alicia Garza. She has an amazing book out right now that I just finished reading. It is called "The Purpose of Power." Okay, and she's one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. She also founded Black Futures Lab. I always refer to a black agenda that she created that I think is very dope, a comprehensive black agenda. So Alicia is an amazing person to talk to, man. And The Purpose of Power is a great book. I'm telling you, it humanizes the Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Lives Matter organization in a way that I've never even thought about.
Right.
Black Lives Matter was a topic of the debate last night, too.
All right, we'll get into debate up next. And also, Angela Rye will be joining us this morning.
My sister, AR-40. About to be AR-41. Angela Rye.
All right. Charlamagne the God, we are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. The Giants played last night.
They did. I didn't even know football was on last night.
It shouldn't have
been.
Who
did they play?
Played the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, my God. That was a game that should not have happened now. In this era of coronavirus and everybody trying to social distance and not be away from each other, we don't need no NFC East teams playing against each other.
I lost some money, too.
That game should not have happened.
I lost $100 betting on the Giants. But anyway, they was up. They was up to the fourth quarter. They was up 2 touchdowns to the fourth quarter. I woke up this morning and I see they lost. I thought they had it. They lost 21-22. What else we talking about, Yee?
Well, let's talk about the debate last night, of course. This is the second debate for Biden and Trump. And, they had the muting of the microphones for the first 2 minutes. I think that helped. Donald Trump was a lot calmer. His hands were going crazy, but he wasn't as, combative as he was in the first debate. Now, one thing that they did discuss was Black Lives Matter, which I just told you. Listen to this.
The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting
pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing.
All right. I was watching after the debate. Joy-Ann Reid said she was actually covering that march, and no one was saying that. That's not even true. And
No, I mean, I don't know if it was that march, but it was definitely a march where it was a group of people who had infiltrated BLM, and they were definitely marching down the street saying that. Because that's I've heard that video myself, but that don't necessarily. I've always said that doesn't represent what Black Lives Matter is about and what Black Lives Matter stands for. Just because you got some bad apples in that organization.
And when you hear Alicia Garza talk about it, everybody can claim Black Lives Matter. That doesn't
Exactly.
mean they are part of that organization.
Exactly.
Now, another thing that Donald Trump was talking about was coronavirus. Here is Biden and Trump on coronavirus.
He says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their out of habit where their wife or husband was is gone. We're dying with it because he's never said, he said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I
Very
take full responsibility. It's not my fault that he came here. It's China's fault.
I tell you what, man. If I didn't know what fascism looks like, and I didn't understand the severity of Trump having control of, of all the federal courts, the DOJ, if I didn't understand that a president can't really get anything done without having control of the Senate and the House, if Senator Harris wasn't on the ticket, I would probably write in this year, I'll vote third party, because both those guys are trash. Okay, they represent what's wrong with America. An old white male politician and his boss, an old rich white man. I didn't like nothing I saw last night, to be totally honest with you.
Nope.
Now, when it comes to immigration, there are 545 children who have not been reunited with their had to say about the children at the border.
The United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you
But
reunite
let me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their
Let
families,
me just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages.
Do you have
They
a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on it we're trying very hard.
Who built the cages, though? That's what that was a question that didn't get answered last night. Trump said the Obama administration built those cages, and he kept asking Joe, who built the cages? Joe couldn't answer.
I will say this, though. We'll say with Obama, they were not separating young children from their parents and their families and not being able to reunite them. Donald Trump said these kids are being treated very well. And I'm sure they'd much rather be with their families than separated.
I'm not making no excuses for either one of them. I think all of them got dirt on their hands, and you see that last night. Both of them trying to throw mud at each other when they both corrupt. I personally think so.
Well, that is your front page news.
And you know what else too? The way Trump sounds trying to defend COVID is how Biden sounds trying to defend the 94 crime bill.
I don't know. I really don't anymore. All right, well, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up right. They're calling from the Carolinas, huh?
Well, actually, I'm calling from Florida.
Oh, okay. I seen a Carolina number pop up. All right, but get it off your chest, mama.
I'm sorry you calling from Florida.
Yeah, 4 miles. Okay, y'all were talking about something that Biden did 30 years ago.
Oh my God! Stop it. We're not gonna have this conversation.
Let
You know
the
why?
lady speak.
Because people are still in jail for the 94 crime bill
The
now.
lady speak.
Now, y'all, okay, President Trump's an idiot. I already know that.
Very
but
true.
his bill that he has passed for taxes cover all the rich people, but it's going to end for all the poor people. 30 years ago, I mean, come on, I was in the 90s.
The 94 crime bill. People are still in prison for the 94 crime bill now. What are we talking about?
Okay, but did they commit a crime? Were they innocent?
Low-level drug offenses, a dime bag of weed, a 20-year rock get you 30 years.
I will say that Joe Biden has said that it was a mistake.
No, he said that
Yes,
said
he
that it
has.
was a mistake that black people asked him to do. There's a difference between saying something was a mistake and that you made a mistake. It's a big difference.
But the Congressional Black Caucus and
back in the 90s, he
and
used to call
everybody
it the
did-
Biden crime bill. Now, 30 years later, people on his ass about it. It's not the Biden crime bill anymore. It was something black people wanted him to do. Come on, we got to
but
pay
didn't
attention.
didn't everybody support it back then?
In the 90s, when crack was a problem, yeah, it should have been a bill. Period. Okay.
I mean, a lot of people did support the '94 crime bill. A lot of
And
black
a lot of
people
black
did
people
support
did
it
not
also.
support the 94 crime bill as well. A lot of black people pushed back against the 94 crime bill and told people what was going to happen. But listen, I'm voting for Biden-Harris is regardless. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I like either candidate.
I don't like either one either.
That's all I'm saying.
Should make a decision for an adult human being. God gave everybody free will.
So let's
Okay.
not
They
argue.
don't understand that's first grade.
Let's not
They
argue.
don't understand anything about us.
Yes, let's not argue about white men that really don't give a damn about either one of us this morning. Okay? Let's
That
just,
is true, but we got to pick one or the other.
I told you who I'm picking. Well, I'm voting for Senator Kamala Harris. That's what I'm voting for.
Thank you, Mama. Hello, who's this?
What's up, man? This is DG. I'm from the 757.
What up, brother? Get it off your chest.
Hey, man, the other day I was at work, man. I started on myself, man.
Congratulations.
Oh man, we've all been there, bro.
That's good luck, bro.
I've been there before.
Hey, look, man. Hey, everybody follow me on Instagram, KingDG, KIING.DG.
So
How
time
you gonna
out.
say that and then you want us to follow you?
That's what he wanted to get off his chest. I respect it.
Yeah, man. I had to let everybody know, man. I'm a starter.
All
Why,
right.
why didn't you post it on the gram?
I tried to, but they blocked me, man. They didn't want to see all that.
So what did you do? Did you go home
Try to post
after
it.
you shot it?
No, when I was at work, I just wiped it off my butt, put a little dab of water
Oh, my
to it, and I
gosh.
kept going.
And you got them dirty ass underwear on?
No, I took them off and just free ball.
All right, your nickname from now on is Shawty Low. Okay? Shawty Low.
Yeah, you gotta tell every well. Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent or you need to shark, call us now. It's the Breakfast Club. Hello, who's this?
Yo, butterscotch butt envy, big chocolate toe sucker. How we doing, kid?
Hey,
Gosh.
big chocolate, the
So
toe shorter. What up?
listen, I gotta get off my chest and thank Molly from White Plains, New York. Love your toes. I gotta thank Foxwood Casino, Mohegan Sun Casino, made some money, and in Connecticut had a good time. In Charlemagne, I'm gonna buy you lunch today. I'm buy you a little turkey sandwich with toe jam, and that'll fill your belly. Okay, you can stop talking about the man's meat. All right.
Speaking of meat.
All right.
suck my
Hello, who's this?
It's like Derek, but with a T.
Tarek. What's up, Tarek?
Yes, sir. What's up, man? This is a dream come true. Y'all don't understand, man. I'm from Kansas City, Kansas. The 913. Shout out to everybody in Wyandotte County. Mad love. So much to get off my chest, man. I listen to y'all every morning. First of all, how y'all doing? Good morning, God
I'm blessed, black,
y'all.
and highly favored. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I caught y'all. This is rare. Y'all don't answer Kansas phone calls. What's up with that?
No, well, we're not in Kansas anymore, sir. Anything else, sir?
I got a lot. I got your first book, Charlemagne, but let me get that
Thank
second
you.
one, please. Can you get that one sent to me?
You know what? I can send you that, and I can send you a copy of Rita Walker's book, The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. I had a bunch of copies.
Yes, sir.
I bought like 100 copies of Dr. Rita's book, and I had them up here for a while. I need to start sending those out. I don't know why I haven't done that. People need that, especially around this time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get your address from our producer, Daniel. Leave your address when you.
One more thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get into modeling. I look good. I look real good.
Oh boy.
So, my Instagram is the numerical number 1, and then my name, Tarek, T as in Tom, ERRIK.
Taylor's looking it up.
Yeah,
We're gonna
I got
tell
that.
you. We're gonna tell you if you handsome or not. How you look, Taylor? Well, Dramas, how you look?
I'm not looking it up.
So, you know, for Kansas, boy, I'm decent.
Damn, what you saying? Is mad ugly people in Kansas? They all look like Dorothy's dog, Toto?
Hey, man, I gotta live here. I ain't gonna say nothing.
I like Kansas.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Love you too,
Love you
King.
back. Get it off your chest.
What do you look like, Taylor?
585
Model material?
Charlamagne, you interested?
Let me see. He
That's
could,
your type.
he could definitely be an extra in a Tyler Perry movie for
No.
sure.
All
For
right.
sure.
We got rumors on the way.
Yes, and let's talk about The Rock. Are you ready to see Young Rock? We'll tell you about it.
All right. We'll get into that next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Okay. There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Y'all be riding in the car and be like, I can't believe this song's on the radio.
No.
That's a lie.
There's been a lot of worse songs than
No,
this
I'm
WAP
with
song.
you. I'm with you. I'm just old now, so I'll be riding. I'll be like, I can't believe this is on the radio. It have been some songs worse than the WAP song.
Absolutely.
I don't remember those songs playing on the radio though.
Like
I could
what?
be. I don't remember.
What, you don't?
I don't remember Akinelli Put It in Your Mouth.
That was
playing
definitely
on
the radio.
I
in New
remember
York.
that.
Really?
What about Wait Till You See My...
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Come
You're right.
on.
You're right. You're right.
All
You're
them
right,
songs.
You're right. Where do you see my? You're right. You're right.
All right. Well, let's get to the rumors. Let's talk The Rock.
It's about
Maybe the clean version was just better.
Maybe.
That's what it
Rumor
is.
report. Rumor report. This is the Rumor Report with Angela Yee.
That's what it was.
Breakfast
G.
Club.
The clean versions were just better back then. That's all.
Okay.
That's what it was.
All right. Well, yesterday, The Rock made an announcement on Instagram. He said, "My fellow Americans, Young Rock has officially begun filming. Our new wildly funny and unbelievable show for NBC explores my true life events during my formative years, from growing up in the surreal and tough world of pro wrestling to being a broke kleptomaniac to hanging out in honky tonks at 15 years old in Nashville and deciding I was going to be an outlaw country singer.
Was he born with pecs?
To winning
Did he come out the womb
to
with
winning
trap
the-
muscles?
To winning the national championship at the University of Miami, the baddest boys college football has ever seen. Period. What a fun and wild show, and can't wait to deliver it to you guys in 2021.
Was the Rock a little Diesel ass baby?
I don't know what he looked like when he was that young.
Sound a little jealous.
But they are going to be debuting this on NBC. All right, Kodak Black, in the meantime, has announced a new album and docuseries is coming, and it is called Bill Is Real. So even though he is still in jail and he can't personally send out messages to his fans, he's been relaying statements to everybody through his friends and through his attorney. So they did announce Bill Is Real, which is his upcoming project. They said details are scarce, but it looks like it'll be a docuseries there as well.
How much time does Kodak Black have?
That's a good question. He seems like he's been there for a minute.
I know.
Well, I don't
Because they
even-
just moved him to a new facility. He's been having all kinds of issues.
I don't even remember
They
the
said
charges.
Me neither. I don't even remember.
He said he was being tortured behind bars. He was being abused. According to Kodak Black, guards gave him a gang beating after he arrived. They said that he says they've been violating his rights, and that led to his mouth bleeding, vomiting, lacerations, all these things. So, more Kodak Black. All right, I Love New York is coming back. You guys like Tiffany Pollard? Excited to see her come back to TV?
I think Tiffany New York Pollard is one of the most talented reality show people ever.
Is there a butt?
Well,
No.
there will be a 1-hour reunion special. I Love New York Reunited.
Do people care though? It seems like that hasn't
Yes.
been on TV for a long
People love
time.
New York still to this day, man. New York is iconic to some people. My homegirl Courtney loves Tiffany Pollard.
Okay.
And she has Brunch with Tiffany already. That show on VH1.
I did
where
that.
she interviews people.
Yeah, I did that show with her. Yep. Back in the day.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there you have it. So we can see that as well. All right, now Bubba Wallace's new NASCAR team has a Michael Jordan-inspired team name, number, and logo. So the team was named 2311 in reference to the jersey number that Jordan wore while playing in the NBA, and the number 11 car that the other owner, actually Hamlin, has raced with for the past 14 seasons. So that is the team, 2311. But it's like it's 23 and then the Roman numerals 11, just FYI. And yes. All right. Well, I'm Angela Yee, and that is your rumor report.
All right. Thank you, Miss Yee. Now we got front page news coming up. What are we talking about?
Yes, we have to get more into the debate that went down last night. We'll give you some more info on what was said about other things like coronavirus and healthcare and all of that.
All right. We'll get into that next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Breakfast Club. Thank
Yeah.
God it's Friday too, man.
Thank God it is Friday. I am really looking forward to doing nothing.
You and me.
Nothing
freaking
tonight.
both.
Nothing is my favorite thing to do. And you know what I like to do nothing with? Some wine and some edibles. Okay?
Wow.
That's right.
All right. Okay. All right.
But
Well,
y'all don't drink and do drugs?
let's get in some front page
I'm
news.
the only one? Y'all so judgmental in this room.
All right. Now, you want to talk football? We ain't got to talk football. Giants lost. That's all you need to know. I lost $100.
Why would you bet on the Giants? Seriously, why would you bet on the Giants?
I made that
I know
bet.
that's your team, but why?
I made the bet before the season started.
Oh, okay.
So it was like one of those things I was like, all right, we might be all right, and then we just weren't all right, and I couldn't take the bet back, so.
NFL cancel all NFC East games. This is coming from a Dallas Cowboy fan. I think Cowboys fans, Redskins fans, Giants fans, Eagles fans can all agree. Cancel all NFC East games because of COVID.
I'm with you. All right. Well, what else we talking about, Yee?
Well, let's talk about the debate last night. What did you guys think about the moderator, Kristen Welker?
I thought she did a great job, phenomenal job. But you know why though? Because
They muted the candidates' microphones.
Not only that, but both of the candidates. Well, at least Trump was even tempered. Trump wasn't in his Trump bag last night. He was more stable than we probably have ever seen him. Because you can't really blame those moderators for the first two debates, man. Those guys are out of control.
All right, well, let's discuss what happened. Now, of course, the 94 crime bill comes up, and here is what happened.
In the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drug cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done, because I think maybe the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to the drug. But they were not in the crime bill.
You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a lot of it done. We released 38,000. We got 38,000 prisoners left from the.
You got nothing done.
You know, the way Trump sounds trying to defend his response to coronavirus is how Biden sounds trying to defend the 94 crime bill. It was a mistake, but was it your mistake? Because back in the day, you called it the Biden crime bill. You took full responsibility for it. Now you blame it on other people and say other people wanted you to do it, and it was just a mistake. Imagine you cheat on your girl, then you say, it was a mistake. My boys told me to do it. You think that's gonna fly?
Well, what can he say now?
You apologize and you show legislation and you make policy commitments to rectify the situation. This is what I'm going to do moving forward. This X, Y, and Z. These things. This is what I'm gonna do.
Right. I think that's what he did try to say, is that moving forward, that's why it was a mistake. These are the parts that were a mistake, and here's what we're trying to do moving forward. And Donald Trump saying you didn't do those things that whole time that you were in office.
That's a good point.
Now, another thing that Donald Trump is always having to defend is his taxes.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. Number two, this is a president. I have released all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot.
All right, now another thing that comes up was Donald Trump was talking about Hunter Biden and the whole Ukraine investigation. Here's what he said.
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world, I hear they paid him $183,000 a month, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the vice president
That's
respond to that quickly, and then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
No
quickly.
basis for that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
You know why those attacks don't work on Biden? Because Trump is trying to question somebody's character. Because of Trump, nobody cares about character. Trump ripped up the playbook on character. You don't care.
Well, Aubrey O'Day took to her page on social media and said, since Trump has now lowered this debate to trashing family, Don Jr. hates his father, Ivanka is a lesbian on the low, Eric F. Miss Universe on the Apprentice boardroom table while with his now wife.
All right.
She said, it's not about my family or your family, it's about your family, points to the American people. Talk to your country, Mr. President. And while we're at it, I have texts of Don Jr. telling me what a little ish-hole Barron is. They were on the private jet and Barron didn't like his food, so he threw the plate across the plane at the attendant. None of these people are innocent of being a-holes and liars.
See, that's the tea. That's the tea I was missing last night. That's what I'm really upset about. Last night was boring as hell. You know what I'm saying? I sat there, had my snacks, we're getting ready to see some action, and they both want to be stable. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that what you want from your president?
No! Not when it's a reality show star on stage. I want a reality show, goddammit.
My goodness.
All right. You didn't?
Yes, I did.
Exactly. Where was the flies?
I had to go back to the Giants game. Right up with you.
Where was the flies? It wasn't entertaining last night.
All right. All right, well, that's
your front page news.
All right, now when we come back, Alicia Garza will be joining us.
Oh, man, I love Alicia Garza. She's one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. She has a new book out called The Purpose of Power. Okay, and it really does humanize the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black Lives Matter organization in a real way. It's a great read.
All right, we'll get into that next. It's the Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club, we got a special guest in the building, Alicia Garza.
Good morning.
That's right, one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement, and she has a new book out called The Purpose of Power, How We Come Together When We Fall Apart. That is a very powerful title, Alicia.
Yes, it is. And, our sister Angela helped inspire me around this title. She and I were going off about what's going on in the elections.
Angela Rye.
Yes, Angela Rye. Need I say anymore? Anywho, we were talking about really the need for our movements to better understand what it is that we're fighting for. We're not fighting for seats, cabinet positions, anything like that. We're fighting for power. And so the purpose of power became the title of this book.
Can we go back to the Black Lives Matter movement? And you're one of the founders. Can we start how that was founded?
Black Lives Matter really comes out of the murder of Trayvon Martin and the subsequent acquittal of George Zimmerman in his murder. But it's much bigger than police violence. And I think so much of what people know about Black Lives Matter is policing, right? And the protests that people see on TV or that they attend themselves. But I can say that one of the reasons I wrote this book, honestly, is because very few people know about the offline work that goes into social change. And so that's what I talk about in the book.
And it's important to note that it's not all glamorous work, right? A lot of times we see these celebrities or people who are just using different platforms to speak on things, but there's a lot more that goes into starting a movement and organizing than just being on a platform or starting a hashtag. So that's something that you also address in your book, and how you were raised and how that plays a role in how you even started becoming this organizer, right? So can you talk about how your background and your family, your mother in particular, actually encouraged you?
I sure will. And thank you for saying that, because honestly, that is a big thing that people don't know, is that it's not glamorous work and that the work is hard. And, so many people, I think, see what's happening on social media and they think, I want to start a hashtag so I can start a movement so that I can have a lot of followers. And I talk about in the book how that's actually not what we're fighting for. And that's not what is going to create change. Hashtags don't start movements, people do. And I say this in the book. And what I try to do in this book is talk about how it is that people start movements. For me, myself, the first kind of lesson that I ever got in politics was from my mom, who passed away a couple of years ago. And I really learned from her that dignity and survival is at the core of everything that we are fighting for and at the core of everything that we do. She fundamentally believed that we are all each other's responsibility and that everybody should have the right to live with dignity.
You did a great job of humanizing BLM and the purpose of power. Not just BLM, but in particular yourself, Patrice, and Opal. Not just personally, but the movement itself. In chapter 11, Voting Can Be a Movement, very timely chapter for right now. You actually questioned BLM and admitted that y'all didn't have a clear set of demands to take on the campaign trail, and y'all didn't hold Hillary Clinton accountable for her role in mass incarceration. Do you think the movements have done a better job this time around, this election cycle, doing that?
Yeah, I think we're learning a lot. In 2016, yes. I think our movements, and this isn't just limited to BLM, as I say in the book, but our movements are relatively ambivalent about elections. And I understand why. You and I have talked about this a ton, right? Mm-hmm. People don't feel like these processes actually deliver the things that we need. And in a lot of ways, they're right. But some of the thing that happens here is that we haven't figured out what our engagement looks like that's on our terms and not their terms. Mm. And so lots of people don't know that, for example, even though we decided not to endorse a candidate, and I think that was still the right decision, we were also engaging with candidates behind the scenes. We were calling for a Black Lives Matter debate from the DNC and got shut down promptly by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who then ultimately got ousted because it looked like she was trying to rig the process for Hillary Clinton. We had campaign conversations with their staff people, policy campaign discussions where, you know, when they were starting to talk about trans rights and they were starting to talk about education, that's because they were getting pushed by BLM. But at the end of the day, when it became clear that this election was going to go in a certain direction and everybody's voice needed to be unified, we couldn't show up for that. And that wasn't just a question of our movement. It was a question of many movements who were engaging thousands and thousands and sometimes millions of people, but not putting out a clear message about how we approach these stages and how we both hold the contradiction of nothing's going to change without us, right? But they're going to keep going without us even if we don't participate. So we might as well throw in and get our influence in the mix.
And you also created, with some research, tons of research, a Black Agenda. And I see a lot of people coming up with their Black agendas now. Can you talk about your Black Agenda?
This agenda, and you can find it at blacktothefuture.org. This agenda is not the radical agenda. It is the Black unity agenda. And it's something that we've been pushing for the last year, trying to get this adopted by campaigns, trying to get it adopted by political parties. But frankly, what we're doing is we're changing rules in cities and states using this agenda. We've already organized 70,000 Black voters around this agenda. And we know that 70,000 Black voters are using this agenda right now as they're making decisions up and down the ballot. So, you know, for folks who are listening and you want to get involved, we are using this agenda as an organizing tool to change the rules that have been rigged against us for generations. And we're also training our people how to write, win, and design the rules, trying to change the balance of power, and the Black Agenda 2020 is the first step.
What's the three biggest things that you've seen that you would say that people wanted?
You know, Charlamagne, you were so great yesterday on Don Lemon. I was listening because I was in the segment after you.
I'm inspired by people like you.
You just made it clear. You said, look, we want to understand and we want to get better and stronger around our economics. And that was the number one issue that kept Black folks up at night in the Black census, was wages that were too low to support a family. And then, of course, followed by other safety net issues that also have to do with wealth. And we didn't just look at problems in the agenda, we looked at solutions. And the majority of people in our survey said that, number one, they don't believe that politicians care about us or our families. Number two, that when it comes to policing and police violence, that we want police to be held accountable when they commit crimes in our communities. And number three, what people said was that they want government to take more of a role in being responsible for everyone. So right now, the way that people see government is that it's only geared towards people who are wealthy and people who are white. And what our folks said was, you know, that has to change. We need to start making people pay their fair share if you make over a certain amount of money. We have to make sure that government, right, is really establishing a floor and a baseline for everybody's human dignity.
All right, we have more with Alicia Garza when we come back. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning. We are The Breakfast Club. We're still kicking it with Alicia Garza. Charlamagne?
I want to ask a question. 13 days to the election, you know, you got the Black census, you got your Black agenda. Whose agenda is more in line with the Black census and your agenda? Is it the Lift Every Voice plan or the Platinum plan by Donald Trump?
Okay, well, without question, it's the Lift Every Voice plan.
The Platinum plan is like one page.
Yeah, right. He had to keep it simple because there's nothing in there.
Right.
But I'm also going to say, just to be honest, that Lift Every Voice plan needs a lot of work. And we have been fighting for the last 8 months to get this campaign to really hone in on the nuances of what Black communities need. I think in some ways, and I'm just going to be super honest here, I think they're used to engaging like a very established framework when it comes to dealing with Black communities. And that doesn't match the times that we're in. And if the man who's in charge stays in charge, he plans to be in charge for a very long time. It ain't no 4-year cycles.
That's right.
He gets another cycle. So we got to handle this bird right now. And then we keep pushing. And I will tell you, I say in the book as well that elections are not about personalities. It's not about who you would have over for dinner. I don't think I would want Joe Biden over at my house for dinner.
Me
but
neither.
I will tell you this. It's about picking the terrain I want to fight on. And the terrain I want to fight on will allow me to fight for another day. And if this man stays president, we don't have that terrain, and we may not be able to fight another day. So it's super clear to me. I hope it's clear to everybody who's listening too.
What are your thoughts on engaging, though? Like, let's just say, because we've seen people say, look, if you don't know who's going to be in power, you should engage with whoever that person is in order to create change, instead of saying, okay, I don't support that person, I won't engage. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're mixing up a lot of things. So number one, absolutely, it's important to engage with people who are in power. But we also have to do that with a clear set of eyes. And engaging with Donald Trump, it's not an ideological thing, it's a practical thing. And what he has shown over and over again is that he is not for Black people. And that when he does actually talk about Black folks, it's really just to enrich himself. We could take the First Step Act, for example, right? He did a lot. There was a lot of hoopla around how he was the one who pushed the first, criminal justice reform plan from the Republican side. But I can say this, he also talked a bunch of crap about it. And he only uses it, right, when he wants to talk to Black folks about why we should suspend our disbelief and actually suspend what we see right in front of our eyes and maybe think about voting for him. I understand our desire for change, and I think that the way that we make change is through organizing.
What are your thoughts on Joe Biden? I know you said you wouldn't invite him to your house for dinner, but what are your thoughts as a person to him and as a president if he's elected? A lot of people don't seem to necessarily care for him and care more for Kamala Harris. So what are your thoughts on Biden? And don't look up like that.
She's in deep thought. Like, how can I answer this without getting people not wanting to vote?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure he's a nice guy. The way that I approach politicians, and whether it be people I really like or whether I don't like them, is about the policies that they move forward. And, I'm clear about what I need to be doing in this cycle, but it doesn't mean I can't be critical of this person. And at the same time, he has expected support from our community and frankly has gotten it without very many demands. My congresswoman it's a lot different. She got put into Congress on an anti-war mandate. That's just the kind of flavor of where we're from. But I can tell you what, if she strayed from that, it would be a problem, and she would be contested in her elections, and she understands that. She also has a deep sense of accountability to her community, and that's what I think politics needs to look like. It doesn't look like that right now, but it won't look like that if we don't fight for it to look like that. So that's why we do the work we do at the Black to the Future Action Fund and the Black Futures Lab.
Chapter 13 in The Purpose of Power. That was one that touched me too, imposter syndrome and the patriarchy. And you describe yourself as a survivor of imposter syndrome. I've never looked at it like that. Break that down for me.
Well, imposter syndrome is really the notion that you don't belong here, that you're not good enough, right? And really successful people have imposter syndrome. Part of the fight that I engage in every single day, among many, is being seen as capable, intelligent, worthy, right? Not just from myself, but from others. And even in terms of this movement, Patrice and Opal and I, and so many other activists in this movement have encountered things that are undescribable. And yet at the same time, it doesn't matter how much I do here. People are always going to look for the man who's leading. They're always going to be waiting for the the next coming of Martin Luther King. And that is something that I needed to point out here, because we can't reach what we're trying to reach if we continue to try and repeat eras that no longer exist. For me, I really wanted people to better understand what is the consequence, right, of the stories that we tell ourselves and each other about what successful movements look like, what successful leaders look like, right? And the impact that we have on the change that we seek. It's not a competition between men and women. It's really about equity and equality. And how can we encourage all of us to step forward and to take ownership of our accomplishments while also giving shine to other folk, right? I think we can do all those things at the same time.
The reason I love that chapter, though, is because I've never looked at it as surviving imposter syndrome. You know, for me, you know, I've definitely suffered from imposter syndrome, but when I finally got to that place where I felt like I was over it, I felt like I was getting to a place of worthy, right?
Yeah.
I felt worthy to be in the position that I'm in. So I wonder what happens when you don't survive imposter syndrome.
Well, when you don't survive imposter syndrome, you stop striving, right? You stop striving, you stop glowing, you stop shining, and frankly, you stop trying, you stop creating, you stop innovating. And the reason I put this chapter in the book is because I wanted to expose that. I wanted to show us that in a lot of ways, we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. We need to build a movement in the millions, and that means we need all the talent, all the creativity, but we also have to break down these ways of relating to each other that are deeply, deeply unhealthy, and they lead to self-hate, right? That is hard to recover from. So if we're going to build movements that last, one of the things I argue is that we have to learn how to engage our pain and our trauma in such a way where we don't tear each other up and we don't eat each other alive from the inside. We're in an intersection where we have to give care to the things that need to die away, right? All the ways in which our society and our economy is organized that don't serve us, we need to give care to it to wither away. But then we also need to give care to the things that we're trying to birth. And I think we're in an unprecedented moment where we get to do both at the same time.
All right, well, don't move. We got more with Alicia Garza. When we come back, it's The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club. We're still kicking it with Alicia Garza. Charlamagne?
Chapter 17 was another one. Platforms, pedestals, and profiles. I texted you last night to tell you that chapter moved me spiritually, because you break down exactly what a person should be using their platform for. And you ask a question, which I think everyone with a platform should ask themselves: for what and for whom are you building a platform and profile? Could you elaborate on that question?
I mean, for me, my purpose is to make Black communities powerful in every aspect of our lives. And I have chosen to focus on the realm of politics in order to do that. I have encountered a lot of people in this movement, not just like BLM, right? But in the movement work that I have done, especially in the last decade, where I think the reason that people are in it is because they want to be close to celebrities. Mm-hmm. They want to have a massive social media platform. They want millions of people to follow them. They want to be seen. And that's a very human desire, but it's not in the service of movement, right? That's in the service of yourself. And if you want to be a celebrity, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But that is not compatible with the aims and goals of a movement. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million Twitter followers. You can have 5 and still
do the work.
Powerful. Exactly.
And I find that I'll look on, because right now it's so easy to spread false information, you know, and I see that you've worked with a lot of different organizations. You worked with Planned Parenthood, correct?
That's correct.
And I always hear people say really negative things about Planned Parenthood. So I just wanted you to talk about Planned Parenthood. I see you're doing something with Cecile Richards, who used to be the president of Planned Parenthood. So if you could just talk about your experience there and why you think Planned Parenthood is beneficial for our community.
Sure. You know, I talk in the book about my history with Planned Parenthood. I, in college, learned about the role that Margaret Sanger played, not just in that organization, let's be clear, but in the movement around reproductive rights. And what Margaret Sanger was fighting for was the ability of white women to determine when and where they wanted to start families. And when it came to women of color and poor women and immigrant women, she didn't believe that our families were fit to reproduce. And so she was at the same time a reproductive rights crusader. She was at the same time a member of the eugenics movement. That's not about Planned Parenthood. That's about a movement, right? That allows for that kind of bifurcation where white women can get access to things, right? Black women and women of color and immigrant women and poor women, right, get the short end of the stick. With that being said, I talk in the book about how all of our lives have been shaped by an incredibly powerful conservative movement.
Yes.
And that, you know, part of what that has looked like is policy wars and culture wars. And then what happens is because we have a rightful distrust of the information that we hear, we buy into their narrative easily because it's anti-establishment. And now, over the last few years, they've been testing on our communities how it is that they can make inroads. It's not good for them, for their movement to be seen as an all-white movement. So they want to break off segments of our communities. And some of the core things that they use are conversations around healthcare, which is how Planned Parenthood gets involved, and conversations about Black Lives Matter. And the danger here, right, is that we have to figure out, number one, how it is that we control and shape our own stories and how we have the apparatus to disseminate those stories. So shout out to you, Charlamagne, for building this huge platform, right, around getting Black voices out there into the world. But we also have to be able to call out and hold accountable those who try to manipulate us into doing things that don't actually benefit the majority of our communities.
It's very distorted. Like, even if we look at Black Lives Matter, I mean, I've heard it's anti-law. I've heard it's anti-white. I heard it's a terrorist
Anti-police, yeah.
I've heard all of that, you know. And what do you say to people that just really don't understand? Because especially mostly white people, when they hear Black Lives Matter, it's like kryptonite. They all of a sudden they start covering their face. They start running. They get so mad.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that? Because a lot of that information is distorted and all wrong.
We've been pretty transparent and pretty clear about what we're for from the very beginning. You know, on days when I'm feeling okay, I try to put the attacks that we get from the president and Rudy Giuliani and, you know, all the ways in which we get used as political footballs. I try to put that aside and put it into the bigger picture. Because they don't have a record to stand on, they attack us directly around our record. And I would stand for our record any day. So our team, the Movement for Black Lives Matter, and so many other entities introduced the Breathe Act, right? Which is our generation's version of the Civil Rights Act. What has Donald Trump or any of these people done about racial justice and around police violence? Nothing. Black Lives Matter is fighting for the sanctity and dignity of Black life. It should be something that everybody should be aligned with and in adherence to, including the president.
Chapter 17. I thought the way you explained DeRay McKesson in that chapter was interesting. It was tasteful, but it was firm. You know what I mean? DeRay, I'm sorry. Why was it important to explain to people that DeRay, as you said, was taking credit for BLM?
You know, I felt conflicted. But again, it does feel important to me to tell the truth. And part of the truth, right, is that we have allowed people to overstate their roles. It's not really about him. I'm using him as an example to talk about a larger phenomenon because he's not the only one. And I want us to ask ourselves these questions. Why is it, right, that we can't see a leader of a movement as a Black queer woman with 2 nose rings and tattoos, right? But we can certainly and feel fine about seeing a leader of a movement being somebody who wears a blue vest and is a man. We have to ask ourselves these questions.
You mentioned that blue vest a lot in that chapter. Patagonia, I think it's called.
I also want us to better understand we have a lot more work to do on building unity amongst the diversity and complexity of our communities. And there also has to be a place where we all come together and hash out what is our common agenda. And that work takes both sides of things, right? It takes the unity work, but it also takes the what are our particular concerns work.
Wow. Her name is Alicia Garza. The book is incredible. And Alicia, you are loved, you are valued, you are appreciated. And, you know, I'm just happy that you exist. I'm glad that you're here to do the work.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Well, it's Alicia Garza.
Tell them about the podcast real quick. Tell them where they can go subscribe.
Oh yeah. Okay, so check out Lady Don't Take No podcast, which is pop culture, politics with a side of beauty recommendations. And actually, we're gonna have you, Charlamagne, on the show next week. So
definitely not talking about beauty recommendations.
First of all, my skin is flawless. My skin is flawless. Stop.
Yeah, I'm saying everywhere you get your podcast, it's available. And I'm stoked to have you on next week. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Go get the Purpose of Power, everybody. It's Alicia Garza. It's the Breakfast Club. Roll another one.
Let's talk Busta Rhymes, the mighty infamous. It's time.
She's spilling the tea. This is the Rumor Report with Angela Yee on the Breakfast Club.
Y'all gonna put some respect on Busta Rhymes' name.
Shout the boss.
Now let's talk about verses. Here's what T.I. had to say about why he wouldn't do a verses with Busta.
I salute and respect Busta a whole lot. I just think the generational gap, it might be a little bit, just a little too much, just a little too much on it. Twista and Busta, that gonna be cold.
I still want to see Busta and Missy. I agree. Busta and T.I. doesn't make sense.
No, man. I told y'all this all week long.
Busta wants to battle anybody, though, and I'm not mad at him. He feels he has a catalog, which he does, and he'll spank a lot of people's asses. But I think T.I. and Jeezy, I think that's a better matchup.
T.I. and Jeezy is phenomenal versus. Didn't Busta respond you?
Well, yes, we are going to get to that right now. Here's what Busta had to say.
You respectfully declined. I guess that's the fancy way to say that you turned down this versus battle. You want to talk about generational gap? That's a very respectful way of not saying that you don't really want to sit in the smoking section with me. It's cool, Tip. You can say it, King of the South. So let's not make no excuses, King. Just tell the people you was really not ready to get this ass whooping on the world stage. That's the truth.
Now, I salute and respect Busta Rhymes as well. He's one of the greatest hip-hop performers of all time. I love Busta's music. In fact, one of my favorite hip-hop songs ever is While We Die, featuring DMX and Jay-Z, produced by Swiss off Busta's Anarchy album. But with that said, musically, he would not win a versus against T.I. It's a terrible matchup. Stylistically, T.I. would manhandle Busta musically. What I want to see as well is Busta versus Missy.
See, when you start using
Busta
words
says
like
he'll take
manhandling and all that, I don't like when you start talking
I don't care
like
what you
that,
like.
man.
It's the truth, and you know that as well.
Well, Busta also does not think
Like when you
that
start
he
talking
would
like
hesitate to take on even more than one artist at a time. Listen to this.
Now, to the rest of the world, again, I'll repeat, whoever, wherever, whatever. As a matter of fact, I don't mind going up against two different artists in the same verses.
A menage versus.
Whoa, come on, Yee. That's nasty. What's wrong with you?
What? It's three people in a versus.
It's Friday. Freaky Friday. No, you gotta take things.
Just a versus. I guess it would really be a versus a trois.
Woo-ha.
All right. Now, Amber Rose was talking about how things went downhill with her and 21 Savage. You know, she had a lot to say on on the podcast with No Jumper. And here's what she had to say. It's really like that I'm a hoe too sign that kind of started their downward spiral.
Are you the one who told him to hold the sign that says I'm a hoe?
No, actually, he that's what he wanted to do. And I think that was ultimately the demise of our relationship.
Really? You think that's where it started?
Yeah, I think so.
In what way? Like
I think that he was being very supportive, and he was like, man, I should hold a sign that says I'm a hoe too. And I was like, that would be really great for feminism. Like, slut walk, you know, you're a rapper, and like, he held it up. And then after that, I think the internet just went in on him too much, and it was just not it wasn't good after that.
Get 21
Keeping it
on the
real
phone.
Where keeping it real goes wrong.
Big hole. Okay? Get 21 on the phone. Somebody asked him if that is really the reason, man. Okay?
He's like, man, I held up a sign and said I'm a hoe too. I got to get out here and be a hoe too.
Big hole. All right? Okay?
He probably, it sounded like a great idea. But execution.
Yeah, I'd be
after
mad.
that, just.
Yeah, listen, women don't make you do strange things. I started arching my eyebrows back in the day because of two women.
Yo, I'm gonna post that
so you
picture.
admit
today.
it.
Have y'all seen that picture?
That's why I never not admitted it.
Leonard the Latino.
What about the eyeliner?
Wow.
Leonard the Latino.
Why I had to be Latino?
Yeah, I don't like this.
Because Latinos
Why?
usually do their eyebrows.
Do what?
Who says that?
Shape their eyebrows.
How you know?
I go to the barbershop and they be like,
How you know?
do my eyebrows. And they go, chick, chick, chick.
Oh, because you admitting you're a Latino now.
Oh, I don't.
See, that's what people do. And they think they said something racist. All of a sudden, hey, I'm that. I'm
No,
that.
I'm just saying, when I go to the barbershop, my Latin brothers, they arch their eyebrows.
Yeah, two women, Nina and Shannara, they gassed me to arch my eyebrows back in the day.
You never seen
And
the
use
picture?
eyeliner?
It's terrible. I saw
Oh,
it.
you seen it? Oh, my goodness.
It's bad.
It's
You get
terrible.
the thinnest eyebrows I've ever seen.
The thinnest eyebrows
God.
That's what I get for trying to be Latino.
I don't like this whole narrative you guys are pushing right
You
now.
put eyeliner on, too?
All right. Well, that is your rumor report. I'm Angela Yee.
You seen eyeliner, Yee?
Nah, it wasn't no eyeliner.
Where's eyeliner? Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I had thick ass eyebrows.
Okay.
And they arched it.
But they got to do with your
What
eyeliner.
they got to do with your eyeliner?
What are you talking about? Eyeliner.
Yeah,
He'll admit it next year.
okay.
I've never used eyeliner. I'm not like y'all. I don't lie about stuff. Envy been in here with a fake beard all since we've been back from the quarantine. Beijinged out, but trying to convince us that's real.
He got you there.
He doesn't got me there, man. That guy, yo, you know damn Beijing.
Okay. All right.
All right. And stop using my mic, too.
Who are you talking to?
Who you giving that?
Yeah.
Who you giving that donkey to, man?
Aaron Honecker. He needs to come to the front of the congregation. We'd like to have a word with him. You don't know who Aaron Honecker is, do you?
No.
Well, you'll find out for after the hour.
All right, we'll get into it next. It's the breakfast.
Now, I've been called a lot in my 23 years, but Donkey of the Day is a new one.
Well, donkey of the day for Friday, October 21st. Today is what's today? What is today's
22nd,
date?
I believe.
23rd. You both
23rd, yeah.
Oh.
Friday, October 23rd. 21st was Jazz Fly's born day. Salute to Jazz Fly. The donkey of the day for Friday, October 23rd goes to a Miami attorney named Aaron Honecker. Good morning, Miami. Salute to everybody who listens to us on 103.5 The Beat in Miami. Logic, DJ 33. What's happening? Good morning, my brothers. Drop on the clues bombs for 103.5 The Beat. I love Miami, but Miami is absolutely a part of Florida. Okay, what did your Uncle Shala always say? The craziest people in America come from the Bronx and all of Florida. You know what's so interesting? It was a brief moment, a very brief moment where people from Florida would attempt to dispute me on that. Not anymore. Okay, I think people from Florida have finally taken a step back and started to see what we all see. They have started to hear what we all hear, and they cannot deny that something is simply not right with Florida. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the state, the water, the sun, the people. It's just something about, Florida. Okay, see, in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from, we say, that boy there fool up now. But it's levels to fool up. And on the fool scale of 1 to Florida, every other state in America is about a 4 or 5. But Florida fool, oof. That's just a different level. It's just off the scale. See, crazy things happen everywhere. But when you hear about it, you can understand it somewhat. You get why certain crazy things happen in places. When things happen in Florida, it makes all of us just say, why? It's out of the realm of our understanding. And this story of Aaron Honecker is no different. See, Aaron is 41 years old. And he's an attorney. Dropping the clues bombs for all the attorneys out there. You are appreciated. I Googled how much an attorney can make in Miami. The yearly salary, I think, is $96,958 per year. Almost $100,000. Okay, that point is very important. I want you to remember that number. You know why? Because Aaron, this Miami attorney, is currently in federal custody after being charged with trying to rob 5 banks since September 30th. You can't make this stuff up. Let's go to WPLG Local 10 for the report, please.
At one point in time, Aaron Patrick Honecker was a local attorney. Now the FBI says he's a serial bank robber. Feds announcing the 41-year-old's arrest Wednesday in Coral Gables, saying he's the man in these surveillance photos, linking Honecker to at least 4 bank robberies in the Gables since September 30th and at least 1 in Aventura. Wake Forest University confirms Honecker earned his law degree there in 2005. And this profile on FloridaBar.org shows him as a member in good standing, though the law firm listed as his place of employment tells us Honecker suddenly disappeared 2 years ago, and they haven't seen or heard from him since.
Now, I didn't go to college, but last time I checked, to become an attorney, you had to get a bachelor's degree, right? Then you got to go to law school, right? So that's like 7 to 8 years of your life that you spent committed to working towards this goal of becoming an attorney. Okay, lawyers is something that a lot of people aspire to be. Claire Huxtable was a lawyer. Okay, we all, Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. Okay, Matlock, Allie Bill. These society is kids, you gotta, you have a degree, a validation that allows you to make almost $100,000 a year legally in Miami, Aaron. But you, instead of wanting to be Claire Huxtable, you want to be Cleo from Set It Off and rob banks. Now, would you like to know how much he got from 2 of the 5 banks? Because he was only successful at robbing 2. You know how much he got?
How much?
Wait for it, because this is one of the reasons he's getting donkey today. He robbed 2 banks. Big penitentiary chance. For $1,850. He robbed 2 banks and received $1,850. You took big penitentiary chances for $1,850. This guy got caught in between bank robberies. The police saw him driving downtown to Miracle Mile and arrested him. He had a hammer on him and a demand note. And not a hammer like a gun, a hammer like a tool, okay? And he admitted that the TD Bank at 255, I think it's Alhambra Circle, was next on his robbery attempt list. Now, another reason Aaron is getting donkey today is because you would think since he's an attorney, he would be representing himself, right? Wrong. He's got a public defender. Okay, he made his first appearance in court this week, and they keeping his ass. They want to detain him before trial, but he has a bond hearing today, so maybe he'll get out. Let me tell you something. You know that kid whose parents were doing pretty well, and he or she didn't have to hang in the street and do hood rat with you and your friends? That's who this guy Aaron is, okay? And there's nothing left to do here except play a game of guess what race it is! Stop Googling, Envy. Get your little yellow beige fingers off your laptop right now. Now, Aaron Honecker, a Miami attorney, 41 years old, dubbed a serial bank robber, successfully robbed 2 banks for $1,850, got caught with a hammer, not a gun, the actual tool, okay? Angela Yee, guess what race he is?
I'm going to say he is white.
What leads you to that conclusion, Angela Yee?
His last name's Hanukkah.
No, Honecker.
Oh.
I ain't go front. I thought the same thing. I was thinking last name Hanukkah.
Mute Angelique's mic while we talk for 2 minutes. I need to mute her mic while we talk for 2 minutes, please. DJ Envy.
Yes.
Now, Aaron Honecker,
yes,
a Miami attorney, 41 years old, dubbed a serial bank robber, successfully robbed 2 banks for $1,850, got caught with a hammer, not a gun, the actual tool. Guess what race he is?
All right. White.
Y'all, I'm not saying he's white, but I think y'all might have Googled. Why do y'all think this?
Well, I was on the same thing as G. I thought the last name was Hanukkah, so I was like, I don't know any black people with last name.
I said Hanukkah.
I said
It's your fault. I said Honker. I mean, Honecker.
You said Honker. That's definitely white. And then you said a hammer. I think if it was black, he would have had a real gun. He wouldn't have had no hammer. Who walks around with a hammer?
I just thought it, as soon as you said Hanukkah,
construction workers.
I just thought it.
Oh yeah, I mean, but not attorneys.
First of all, I didn't say Hanukkah.
You did say Hanukkah.
I said Honecker. It's Honaker.
Dramas, what did he say?
It sounded like Hanukkah. It might be the list, but it's not your fault.
You know what? You know what? He's Latin now. He's Latin. He's Latin.
Wow.
No, he's not actually. Sadly, you two are right. Aaron Honecker is a white man. Yes.
Yeah,
he's Caucasian.
I don't know any black people last name Hanukkah. That's why.
His name is Honecker.
You said Hanukkah.
Please let Chelsea Handler give Aaron Honecker the biggest hee-haw.
Hee-haw, hee-haw. That is way too much Dan Mayonnaise.
What's this new big donkey Daniel say we got? So we got a big donkey. Let me hear
What the hell is happening to that donkey? I'm calling Peter.
I think that was Dan.
Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose. What? Of course he was. No, he wasn't. You lose. Of course he was. He was the star. Nope, you're wrong. Look it up. I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was a star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead. No.
All right, I think that we need a black producer just to balance.
What the hell was that?
Just to balance.
That poor donkey. What did that donkey do to anybody?
Guess what race our producer is?
Guess what race it is?
I'm going to go with white. Am I right? White.
telling us to wrap up. You're turning bright red. You're like, wrap up. Eddie, come in here and bring some goddamn balance.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Thank you, Daniel Honaker.
Daniel Honaker. Oh my goodness. Let's get out of here before we get in trouble.
Oh, I think it's over.
All right. Up next, Angela Rye will be joining us. Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
My sister.
I have no hope right now, Miss Rye. We have Angela Rye.
Hello. That's a sad way, Envy, to be like, I have no hope.
I have no hope right now,
No,
man.
I got hope. I got hope, but I will say this. I would love for you, Angela, this morning, because we all saw the debates last night. Even though both candidates are trash, tell people why they should still vote on November 3rd.
That's a good point.
Well, first, I don't want to call human beings trash.
Stop it.
So to the one human being on the stage, I'm still gonna hold out a little bit of hope for there.
So you have confidence in Joe Biden? Do you like Joe Biden?
I'm gonna tell you where I have confidence. I have confidence in Kamala Harris.
Same.
And she wasn't on the debate stage. Now, let's move right along to the challenges and why it's most important to overcome those challenges to vote on November 3rd. You know, I'm actually going to steal a line from Andrew. I did a podcast last night with Andrew Gillum and Bakari Sellers. And Andrew said something that's so important that I know you all will appreciate. And that is that it's time for us to stop dream selling and to start truth telling. Yeah, and I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about candidates and the whole political process. And we tell everybody to put everything on the line from November 3rd, and then we're surprised, right? When people are like, well, nothing changed when I went to vote. Nothing changed when I cast my vote for you, and overnight my community wasn't changed, and overnight my city wasn't changed, or my state wasn't changed. My kid's school looks exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And Andrew said something that was so important. He said that that's the front door of democracy. I always say that that's the starting line, right? When you go to the voting booth, that's just the first thing you can do, but that's not all we should be doing. And the biggest problem, I think, is we tell people, vote like your life depends on it. You should, but also there are several other things you have to do to make sure you protect your livelihood, you protect your ability to survive, and you protect our ability when we weren't even considered able to get these things from the Declaration of Independence. But life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness doesn't all come on Election Day. Mm-hmm. That's the hard thing. And so we have to make sure people understand if you don't participate, then those three things are less likely. But there's a lot we have to do to ensure those things become likely.
I would also like for you to explain just like, you know, what Trump has right now, like, you know, as far as the courts are concerned and, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I just have to point out that clearly my sales pitch didn't work because here was Envy when I was done.
Yeah, you're not selling us on Biden.
You're not selling us on
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Wait, but here's the thing. I'm not selling Biden, right? He's not for sale to me, right? I think what I'm saying is there's one side that I would prefer to engage. There's one side that I would prefer to fight to get to where we need to be.
I agree.
We can't fight Trump on where we need to be.
Right.
This dude stood on the debate stage, and every time he opened his mouth, he was lying.
Joe Biden lied a lot too, though, and that's what I don't like. It's like too old. You know what I saw last night? I saw an old white male politician and his boss, an old rich white man, and I'm tired of that in America. I hate it.
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
And I understand why you hate it, because the reality of it is you don't feel seen or heard. I get that. But at the same time, when we got to the racial justice portion of the conversation and Joe Biden talked about the ability to just see things differently, meanwhile, Donald Trump is talking about he's the least racist person in the room. The fact that you are on the spectrum of racism, brother, sit down. And then the debate before, he said, stand back and stand by. Now, I don't know why Joe Biden told the people, he said, stand around and sit down, whatever he said.
The poor boys are the black people.
He said, let me have that fried shrimp sandwich from New Orleans. What's that thing called? Po' boy. Right?
Oh, my goodness.
What are we talking about? And so I think that at the end of the day, what we have to remember is that voting is up at the top of the ballot, from the highest office in the land, the president, to the bottom. When you look at the fact that 60+% of Americans know who they were voting for before last night's debate, that's what we have to remember. Folks already know. You said, Leonard, you said it right. Like, what if we started talking to people about the Supreme Court, about all of the federal judicial appointments that not only Donald Trump can make, but all of those that Barack Obama wasn't able to make. I've been so frustrated in this process because Kamala and Joe Biden haven't talked about what is deserved by us on the courts, and they should, because we literally were hamstrung by Mitch McConnell. When you start having those conversations with people, their position shift. I did an informal focus group the night before last and brought up Amy Coney Barrett's record, who of course they're about to shove through the Senate nominating process. They didn't know, or some of them did know, that she said that the N-word, saying the N-word at work by your supervisor does not constitute a hostile working environment. And I said, what if you had the opportunity, right? Like, what are you talking about? If you had the opportunity to get a judge on the Supreme Court or in a federal judicial appointment who thought like you, would that be enough for you to vote? If you think Joe Biden doesn't represent your interests, would you think that's enough? Everybody say yes. So we don't do a good job of telling people how important the judiciary is. So if they had the opportunity to pick judges who think like them, who are going to enforce the laws that are passed in Congress, that's reason enough for them to vote. Progressives don't talk about that enough at all. Somebody like a Daniel Cameron, Attorney General, if you don't like what's happening with that, then those are people that you can vote for too. So it's not just the president. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was talking about the federal judiciary, but you're absolutely right. State attorney general appointments, district attorneys, the people who are representing you in the state legislature. This is a census year, y'all. They're drawing legislative districts for the state and federal positions, elected offices. Right. Like, we have to be telling people the truth about the process. And of course, you can look at them and say, and I'm just talking about everyday Americans say, well, they should know better. Well, they don't, because they stopped teaching civics in school forever ago. Like, I'm blessed because I grew up around that. I don't know how many people had to learn civics from Schoolhouse Rock, but that ain't on air either, right? Yeah. So that's our truth.
How did you like Biden's reply to the 94 crime bill last night?
Wait. Don't answer. We'll come back and we'll talk to Angela Rye some more. Don't move, Angela Rye. Now, Charlamagne, you just had a question for Miss Rye.
Yeah, I was just asking, how did she like Biden's reply to the 94 crime bill? Only because I know that's the things that people, aren't feeling this morning, that his answers and stuff like that.
I'm tired of saying that this is, it's a big issue. It's the elephant in the room. It is the thing that's going to keep on coming up every time race is addressed. It's the only thing that Donald Trump, I'm confusing the two now, Jesus, that Donald Trump has against Joe Biden, right? It's the only thing that he has. And to hear him effectively talk about the number of people whose sentences were commuted under the Obama administration and who was granted clemency compared to the handful of people Donald Trump gave clemency to is a palatable point. But it's not when you compare that to what happened in 82, 84, 86, 88, and 94. It's all of those things. It's the collective. And you have to be clear about the fact that this doesn't align with where we are now, so you can't defend it, right? The other problem that we have is people were waiting a long time for Donald Trump to apologize to the Central Park Five. Hasn't happened. He called for the death penalty again of them as well. And he also called for more police on the streets. So he's able to speak out of both sides of his mouth in ways that Joe Biden couldn't and shouldn't. I'm not advocating for that. But I think the reality of it is white supremacy or white toxicity exists on both sides of the aisle, and it needs to be addressed as such. Stop defending that nonsense. People's lives were destroyed behind that. And I think that his campaign's got to do him right and tell him that. Of course, again, we all know where we're voting. It doesn't make it right. And so I'm saying at this late date, this isn't about securing a vote. This is about saying and committing that you are ready to do the right thing. And I think that's what it boils down to at this point.
Donald Trump asked a great question last night that hasn't been answered. And I would love for you to speak to this. He said, Biden, you've been in the Senate for 47 years. You were VP for 8 years, and you did none of these things you said you wanted to do. Well, how would you reply to that?
Well, I think, again, it demonstrates that Donald Trump doesn't have a real clear understanding of how government works, right? When you're in the United States Senate, you are one voting member of 100. And so even when you sponsor legislation and you're pushing things through, you don't always get your way. I think it's a misstatement of what he did under the Obama administration, everything from overseeing the government's recovery to an economic crisis, brought to you by George W. Bush. He was responsible for helping to find a cure for cancer after his son Beau Biden was diagnosed with cancer. There were a number of other initiatives he led, including the auto bailout. So there are things that he did. Whether or not people like them while he was in elected office is something to be debated and has been hotly contested and debated throughout this cycle. But I think it's a misstatement to say he didn't do anything.
I guess he was speaking specifically to the black community.
Well, and then I think in that moment, Joe Biden talked about clemency that was granted, but we all know enough wasn't done. Nobody has done enough in our 401 years of being here. And you cannot put all of that at the feet of Joe Biden. Not one of the past 43 white presidents has done this before the one black president that we had. And all of a sudden, I think all of us made the mistake, optimistically assuming, right, that Barack Obama could undo all of America's racism when he had to fight against it himself in his 8 years.
And he didn't have control of the Senate, which is very important.
He didn't have control of the Senate for part of his term, but when he did, they got the Affordable Care Act done, which they call Obamacare. And as we know, Donald Trump, since his first day in office, has tried to undo that. Like, not even, how can you stand on a debate stage in the midst of coronavirus and say that you don't support a federal minimum wage mandate? Like, people can barely pay their bills. And that's what Donald Trump stood up there and said yesterday. We have a big problem with him. And again, I'm just saying, the person that I would rather fight to get further to where we need them to be more progressive, and I could probably hold them to it, is an administration that's full of appointees that I know and I'm familiar with and happy to have the debate with, versus Donald Trump that claims that he is the best president for black people since
the most least racist president.
The least racist. that's a low bar. I might be racist, but at least I'm the least.
You look at Donald Trump, and he'll go on Rogan's podcast. He'll do his core. But if you look at Biden, you haven't seen Biden on Sway. You haven't seen him on Steve Harvey. You haven't seen him on Ricky Smiley. You haven't seen him on none of the black programs. No, not the Breakfast Club, not Big Boy. Yeah. Like, it seems like he's scared of the core.
So you guys, I think part of this is it's Lenard's fault. He scared him. The last time he was on with y'all, Donald Trump did get his basic line of attack against Joe Biden for the whole ass election, and that is on the crime bill. Should I be scared of him?
Lenard ruined that.
Well,
but I think that the most important thing is something that you guys are raising, and that is you cannot take your base for granted. You can't. The two largest voting blocks in the Democratic Party are black women and black men, and I think probably a real close second are Latina, Latinx men and women, right? And that is you all's base. You have to come to the Breakfast Club to talk to that electorate. You have to know the pulse of the culture by coming here. You cannot ignore your base and expect to then also serve
and
your
not
base.
Just us. It could be anyone. Like I said, it could be Steve Harvey. It could be Big Boy. It could be...
Well, I said the Breakfast Club.
I agree.
But no shade to the other folks who are doing great things. But I think you all established yourselves in 2016 with the interview with Hillary. Every single presidential candidate came on the Breakfast Club this term, and I think that says a lot about who you all are to the culture. And so for that, I definitely will tell you thank you. And I'll also tell the campaign they made a big mistake not sending the candidates here. It's a very important stop to make. There are questions that you all have that are valid, even if they're tough. Those are questions that they have to be prepared to answer clearly on the debate stage and attack ads from other campaigns. It's just a mission critical. Even during the midterms, folks came on this show. Yeah,
I think Senator Harris is coming next week before the election.
But she's been here several times.
Super important.
Yeah,
super important.
Well, Rob, we appreciate you.
Tell them what you're doing tomorrow, Angela.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm wearing this shirt, Elect Justice. We're doing these big events. I hope that we'll make y'all proud. You know, you guys are my family. And we're going to be in 14 cities all over the country. The biggest one will be here in LA, where I am right now at the Forum in Inglewood. Elect Justice is about ensuring that black and brown voters know that we're not there asking for something without making sure that basic needs are met in return. You all know we're in the middle of a pandemic within a pandemic within a pandemic, at the crossroads of COVID, economic injustice, and of course, all of the racial injustice that exists in this country. We're giving away PPE, we're giving away meals for the day, groceries, and also offering COVID testing. So we encourage you all to check it out. Shout out to our partners When We All Vote, Black Voters Matter, and everybody else that's participating. We'll be streaming on Tidal all day tomorrow, for 2.5 hours tomorrow, and we hope that people will come through if they need anything. You can also, the most important thing, you can cast an early vote. Tomorrow is National Early Vote Day, so we're also making sure that people can cast the early vote and drop those ballots off. You don't have to put them in the mail if you don't want to.
So 1 to 5 p.m. tomorrow at the Forum.
Yes.
Yes, 3900 West Manchester Boulevard in Inglewood, California.
All right. Well,
and other 14 cities.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Angela Rye. It's the Breakfast.
Sacha Baron Cohen hosted a live Q&A with Borat as well to answer any questions that you might have. Now, everybody's been talking about this Giuliani part of the movie where he thinks he's talking to a woman that's a reporter that's posing as Sacha Baron Cohen's teenage daughter. And here's what happened in the actual movie.
Thank you again for giving me this time. Shall we have a drink in the bedroom?
Whatever. There you go, my dear.
Okay.
You can give me your phone number and your address.
Should we slip your jacket?
Put down your crumb. She's 15. She's too old for you.
Why you judging?
She's my daughter. Please, take me instead. Take my anus. No, take my anus. Do not have her.
Now you can see if you watch it that Giuliani is like putting his hand down his pants. That's what it appears to be like. And that's when Borat bursts into the room and says she's 15. She's too old for you. Now Giuliani has been defending himself, saying he was just fixing his shirt, tucking it in. He was threatening to sue. Well, here is the character of Borat actually defending his very good friend Giuliani.
I here to defend America's mayor, Rudolph Giuliani. What was an innocent, sexy time encounter between a consenting man and my 15-year-old daughter have been turned into something disgusting by fake news media. I warn you, anyone else try this, and Rudolph will not hesitate to reach into his legal briefs and whip out his subpoenas.
Let me tell y'all something. I think Borat is hilarious. I loved watching that show when it was on Showtime, but I really don't understand how he gets away with the kind of stuff that he does.
Me neither. How do they not know?
I don't get it, but I also don't understand how Rudy Giuliani is getting away with this. It's like nobody cares. It's like dude got caught in a hotel with an underage girl. If it hadn't, have been a prank, it would have definitely went down, but nobody is talking about it. Like, we've canceled people on social media for less. Like, why is this normalized when it comes from, like, the Trumps and the Giulianis of the world?
Well, he's trying to explain himself by saying that he was just trying to fix his shirt and tuck it back in. And, right before he busted in the room.
Well, he'd have been complicit then, though.
No.
Well, she's really 24 years old. She's an actor in real life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not really a teenager. She's playing a 15-year-old.
How do we know this stuff ain't scripted and all of them not in on it, yo? I just can't believe
I don't think Giuliani would want this.
He gets these politicians and world leaders in these compromising positions all the time. I'm like, I don't see it. Where the cameras at when all of this is happening? What do they think is going on? Like, what did Rudy Giuliani think was happening when he was being filmed?
He thought he was getting out. Listen, you got to watch it because it really literally just came out yesterday. So, we can't answer all of that yet, but looks like it's going to be pretty funny, right? All right, now let's talk about Lorenz Tate. His movie, Business Ethics, is out today on Amazon Prime. And actually, his production company with his brothers, the Tatemen, they produced this film. And it's all about Lorenz Tate plays the main character. And he is a really smart man, but he starts kind of, a Ponzi scheme and starts getting money from some of these rich people. Here is the trailer.
You can cheat people out of a lot of money. I'll set you up with $1 million. $2 million.
$5 million.
Things were good.
There's a gentleman here to see you.
So I thought.
There's no surer sign of a great business than having people try to kill you.
So that's on Amazon